Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of SNT Talk Football. And today we are joined with a very special guest. We are joined with United supporter Arez. Arez, say hi to everyone, please.
Hello, hello.
And today,
And
what we're going to
obviously,
be is previewing this week's UCL match day, the three biggest matches, which is Ajax, Liverpool, Bayern Atleti, and United PSG. Talking about who we think could win the UCL Golden Boot and the three best Champions League comebacks of all time. We've probably missed a few, so please don't kill us in the comments if we have. But yeah, without any further ado, let's get straight into today's video, and we will start off with our preview of Ajax Liverpool. Sid, what are your thoughts on this game?
I'm just so nervous. See. I think Liverpool have there's a lot of pressure because even if when we're in a very good position in our group, you can see it right now. 9 points, Atalanta and Ajax are on 7, so obviously we're leading, but still, I just feel that loss against Atalanta has put a lot of pressure. I'm really nervous, but again, it's even though our Champions League record at Anfield is not that good, it still is Anfield. We have Mane rested. Salah came off at 60 minutes. I don't know, Hendo played one half. So again, a lot of fresh players. I've said this a million times. It's really important to have fresh players, especially right now. And I actually think Liverpool will win 2-0. I just have to be positive, and I honestly think that'll be the result because we just have better players than them. So what are a special guest now? What do you think about this match?
Well, I have to agree with you. I'm also going for 2-0 because I think, yeah, like you said, Mane and Salah, they both got less than a half. Or Salah actually got 60 minutes, but I think both of them are rested and they'll start. So yeah, and I think just generally you'll have a better squad than Ajax. So I'm also going for 2-0.
So both of you made some pretty standard, I would say, solid predictions. I think it's a very, very important game for Liverpool because while they could definitely beat Midtjylland on the last day, and it is a bit of a Liverpool thing to leave Champions League qualification out of the group to the last day of the last match day in the group stage. But I think a good win against Ajax at Anfield would be a bit. It would be good for them to get out of their group nice and easy early on. I think Ajax do have some threat going forward. They've got Tadic. They've signed a new youngster, Anthony, who we talked about last UCL matchday preview. They've also got Promes. Kudos is out injured, I think, so he won't be that. He won't be. They will be missing that. His threat. Ziyech obviously moved to Chelsea last season. Van de Beek moved to United, but I think Liverpool could come away with a 1-0 win, like the reverse fixture, one goal out of somewhere, and yeah, I think they'll be able to stop Ajax from scoring. So moving on, let's go right into our second game for this match day, and that is Bayern versus Atletico Madrid. Sid, what are your thoughts on this game?
I just have to say the obvious answer. I have to say that Bayern are gonna win because despite their injuries, they're just so good. I just feel like they never lose a game. Obviously, at the Allianz last time around, they won 4-0, which is it's a good result because Atletico are one of the European elites. You could count them as one of those teams. But I think Suarez will be back for the match. I'm not sure, but I'm gonna say Bayern 3-1 because their team is just on fire. They just do not look like they're gonna lose. So that's why I'm gonna say Bayern 3-1. Obviously, last time around, I think one of their players got sent off in the Bundesliga, I think, or the Champions League. I'm not sure which one, but their team overall is just, I think they're much better than Atletico. They're far more quality. They just have better players. So I'm gonna say Bayern 3-1.
Bold. That's a pretty standard prediction. Last time out, Bayern won 4-0 actually. So you think they would reduce the deficit this time? Arez, what do you think will happen?
So I'm going for 3-0 Bayern because, like Sid mentioned, they're just too good at the moment. Like they're the champions, and Atletico, they did beat Valencia 1-0, but I still think Bayern are just on another level. But yeah, anything can happen. I think Atletico will go for like an upset. Maybe they'll play for a draw. I just think Bayern will find a way and score 3. So yeah, Trivu.
Bayern have been doing that a lot this season and last season. Just, you know, attack is the best form of defense is something a lot of people say, and that's exactly how Bayern play. They just keep attacking, attacking, attacking. The defense is a bit shaky, but yeah, I think Atletico have improved massively this season. They are sitting second with 23 points in the La Liga, 1 point behind Real Sociedad on 24, even though they've played 2 games less. I think they're in a really good position in the league, Champions League as well. You know, I think that I'm pretty sure the second of their group. I think that João Felix has really come found his Benfica self this season. But I think Bayern have players like Coman, who's on superb form, Sane, who's just joined them, Lewandowski is always, he's likely to get on the score sheet. Neuer, who's somehow regained really good form and is currently looking like the best keeper in the world. But all the signs are saying Bayern should win. But I just have an instinct telling me they won't. So I'm gonna go for 2-1 Atletico. So
Bold.
yeah, and that will take us right into our third biggest game of this week. Actually, probably the most important game this week in the group of death. It's United versus PSG. What do you think is gonna happen, Sid?
If I'm not wrong, United only need a point to qualify from their two next games against Leipzig and obviously PSG that we're talking about now. And all credit to them. They put themselves in this situation that'll make it much easier. But again, PSG and Leipzig, I think United are on good form right now. They have confidence, especially after a decent run of games. But still, getting, even though they hammered Leipzig last time around, getting a point against PSG and Leipzig isn't too easy. Neymar and Mbappe are back. PSG did draw on the weekend against Bordeaux, so you feel like they just want to bounce back with a win in the Champions League. I think a win for PSG would be big because their group is looking really tight right now. But I think from a United point of view, they might be tired. There might be tired legs. PSG played again a day before them, I think. So PSG will be more fresh. But again, I think it's way more pressure on PSG, but there just still is that little bit of pressure on United. So I think it's gonna be 1-1, and I think United will just secure the path to the knockout stage. What are your thoughts on this one, United fan?
So I think that obviously I have to be positive because I'm a United fan, but I think PSG are coming back from like a 2-2 draw versus Bordeaux. They, like Sid said, they desperately want a win against us. They're playing away, and United don't have the best record at Old Trafford this season. So I think, and honestly, I feel United do much better when all odds are against us and like we're under pressure. But I think we'll somehow, obviously, I would be positive and I really want to go for that 2-1 win. I might just do, but I think that 1-1 is just like more realistic. So yeah, I'm also going for 1-1. I think it'll be much tighter and it'll be very cagey. PSG won't go like full on attack like we think they would, but I think it'll be a very even game and maybe even a boring one, but I think it will be 1-1.
Both of you predicted 1-1. I'm actually going to go for 2-1 PSG because if you look at this game from a bit far back, you see there's many smaller aspects of this game. Cavani facing PSG. Tuchel's job could be on the line if he doesn't win here. Because if United win, I'm pretty sure PSG are out, and at Leipzig and United go through. Because if Leipzig can, if Leipzig do beat Istanbul, PSG just have 3 points or like 6 points from this, from their group, and it really looks like PSG will go out if they lose to United. And I think a win, it's a must-win game for them. And I really don't see how they lose this must-win game because in the past, while they have proved sometimes they don't turn up on the bigger occasions, I do know they have the mentality of their players like Neymar and Mbappe who are fit now. I don't think either of them were fit for the last fixture, maybe one of them. Oh wait, yeah, I'm pretty sure they were both fit. Sorry, I'm thinking about the Leipzig game. But I think Neymar and Mbappe have found more form. Mbappe really hasn't been the same for PSG since the Champions League final. He's dropped off a bit in terms of form. But I think that Tuchel will definitely get sacked if they get sent to the Europa League. So I think it's a must-win game for them, which is why I think they're going to win. I think that the players won't let him down on this occasion. Getting through is a necessity, especially when your club is big as PSG. So I think they will win 2-1 and go through to the round of 16 eventually. But yeah, that's all the matches we have to preview today, which will take us into our next bit of the podcast, which is basically talking about the Golden Boot, who will win the Golden Boot this season in the Champions League. So I think we all have a few ideas in our head of who could potentially win it. Yeah, Reyes, you want to get us started off this time?
So I have three candidates for the Golden Boot. I'm gonna start with like an unpopular opinion. I think it's gonna be. I think he should be up there. It's Morata for Juve. I think he gets like those goals. He's a poacher, and I think if Juve do go, like, I think to the quarters, maybe in the semis, he can be up there with the other two I have, Haaland and Lewandowski. I think those are the obvious options. Haaland is obviously like still I think 20 years old. I think he like from a like if non-current football watchers, like if you don't watch football right now, you wouldn't really think a 20-year-old should be up there with Lewandowski or like you like if you see the other strikers in Champions League, Suarez, Lewandowski, he shouldn't really be up there, but he gets a lot of goals for Dortmund in big matches in small. He just gets a lot of goals. Like he scored 4 goals that day, so I think he has to be up there, and he is the top scorer at the moment. And Lewandowski, in the form he's on, the seasons like the past 2 seasons, he's been outstanding. And Morata, I think he's coming into form. He's obviously still getting a lot of offside goals, but he should be up there in my opinion. So yeah, those are the three people I have.
Yeah, I think we all have, I think we all know that Lewandowski is always going to be up there with, the rest of those players, especially considering how much of an attacking side Bayern are. He's definitely going to be in and around their goals. But the three candidates I've picked out who could potentially win the Golden Boot, starting off with the obvious one, Lewandowski, as you mentioned. Um, the second one is Holland, again, a 20-year-old. You don't really expect to see someone that young scoring that many goals, especially in a Champions League, and only in his second Champions League, second ever Champions League season. But I'm pretty sure he finished with the second most goals last season, despite going out in the round of 16 with Dortmund, which is just amazing, really. And I think a player like Holland is definitely going to get in and around the goals. The only reason I think he may not win it is because Dortmund could go out of the Champions League early, which is definitely a big factor, and that might mean other players will have more time to score goals. So that's the only reason I think he can't win it. If Dortmund can get to at least the quarters or the semis, I definitely think it could be wrapped up for him only. He could be well clear of Lewandowski even. But yeah, those are the two main ones, the two obvious ones that you've picked out. For the last one, I've actually gone with Diogo Jota, Liverpool's new signing. A bit of a weird one. Obviously, you could think I'm biased, but Liverpool, everyone expected Liverpool to just breeze past their group, and until recently, that's exactly what they were doing. But they dropped points against Atlanta, and now the group looks so much more tighter. And if Ajax beat Liverpool, they actually go ahead of them, and Atlanta, if they beat Midtjylland, they also go out, and Liverpool will sit in third, and they will have a must-win game against Midtjylland. I think Jota has a good chance to score goals. He has been, in my opinion, the difference maker for Liverpool, while other players like Mane, Salah have both scored quite a few goals. Jota came off the bench against Arsenal already, scored, and that was just the beginning. He's scoring so many goals for Liverpool, a hat trick against Atlanta. In those free scoring games, if Liverpool can draw one of the easier teams in the round of 16 or the quarters, I think he could really bag himself quite a few goals and be in and among those, the top scorers. I don't think he will finish top scorer. I think that will actually go to Lewandowski because Dortmund will go out earlier. But I think if Jota can keep up the form he's currently on, he will definitely be one of the higher. Be higher ranked in terms of goals. But yeah, those are the three I've picked out for this season UCL Golden Boot. Sid, who have you chosen?
I actually have. Ooh, this is actually a tough one. I have two. Actually, I have three, and I'm gonna agree with both of you, and disagree. So I'm gonna disagree with Holland for one reason. I just think Dortmund will get out early, and I think that'll give the other contenders like what I think will give Lewandowski and hopefully Jota like a 5-6 match advantage over Haaland, even though he's leading right now with 6 goals. So I'm actually going to rule him out, but you know, it's not because he's an amazing player. I still think he's an amazing player, but I think that the game difference, I think Lewandowski will get way more games to score goals. So I'm not going to say Haaland. I'm going to say I agree. I'm actually going to say Morata because I think Juve have already gotten out of their group. I think they can make it to a decent enough stage. So I think Morata because he's playing really well. He's getting his goals. He's currently scored 5 goals in the Champions League this season already. I'm going to say Jota because I think again not biased. He just doesn't seem like the kind of player who's like a guy who's on form for like 4 months and then drops off. Obviously, he can't keep this scoring a goal every game for like a year, an entire season. But still, he's just the kind of player who'll get goals consistently throughout the season. So I'm going to say him, and also because I expect Liverpool to go further. So again, like I said, giving him that game advantage. And my third plate, it just has to be Lewandowski because his goal scoring record is amazing. You expect Bayern to go really far. And I think if I had to choose one, I just have to say Lewandowski because he scores so many goals and Bayern are playing so well that you expect them to reach you expect them to reach the final, which will give him so many games to score his goals. So that's my prediction for this topic.
I'm also going to agree with you there. Say Leva is going to take the UCL Golden Boot home because with the amount of goals Bayern score, and he is one of, if not the most lethal striker in the world. I would say bar Harry Kane, but that's debatable. But he is definitely going to be in and around the goals. And considering how many goals Bayern score, he's going to be at the top of that list. And Reyes, who do you think it will be?
I think it's gonna. Yeah, I'm also going for Lewandowski. But if Dortmund can like if they can find a way of going far, then I think it's going to be their striker.
So moving right on, we will go into our top three comebacks in Champions League history. Many to choose from. Some notable ones, some which probably slipped our minds, or some we don't know about because we're too young. But we've all picked out, I think, three each. We will go in order, and Sid, why don't you get us started off with your best three comebacks of Champions
Before
League?
this, I'm just gonna say that because we've not been around that long to see so much stuff, we are all gonna say the more obvious ones. But I think mostly this debate will be more about their placement in our top three, which is the third, which is the second, and which is the biggest. So I'm gonna start off and I'm gonna say I have to say, and this is not biasness. I'm gonna have to say number one, AC Milan versus Liverpool because the if you just look at the teams, you look at the teams in that final and you see AC Milan is just packed with all global stars. Like they have Kaká, they have Pirlo, they have Maldini in their team, they have Shevchenko. But then you look at Liverpool and then they have Gerrard and they have a couple of decent players, but those guys they're not global stars. I think Milan, because they're so much stronger and it was a final and it was not, I'm going to put this ahead of like the first leg and then the second leg comeback because let's use this an example, a team is winning in a first leg, they finish that match, and the team comes back in a second leg, it's a different match. Your attitude is different to the match. This comeback happened in the second half of a final where one team is playing so much better than the other, and then to have the resilience to oppose them, to go take the game to them, I think is really good, especially when Milan were like the masters of defense at that time. They had some really good defenders. So, and also I'm going to say this one because it's a final, and finals are much bigger. There's so much pressure, and obviously the 3-goal deficit. So this is my number one. I don't think I'm going to give my first list. I think we're all just going to say our number ones, our number twos, our number three. So who wants to say their number one now?
So what I have in number 3 is Barca PSG. So this was like a brilliant comeback from Barca, and it is it was a 2 legs, but I still think like PSG won 4-0 in the first leg, and then coming back 6-1. It's it's something else. So yeah, I have that at my number 3. I can't say I watched this match live, but from watching the highlights and stuff, it just it's a big it's one of the, from what I think, it's the third best comeback. But obviously, I might have missed a lot of other games. So yeah, this is my number 3.
So my other number, my number 3 would be Deportivo La Coruna, which is is Deportivo Alves versus AC Milan. 4-0. They won 5-4 on aggregate. So they went to the European champions in 2004, and they went 1-0 up. Surprise! They took a surprise lead before Milan put things right in the second half. They won 4-1, and they got ready for the semi-finals. And no, before that, no side had ever come back from 3 goals down to win a Champions League knockout tie. Deportivo, against all odds, won this reverse fixture 4-0. Walter Pandiani, Juan Carlos Valeron, Albert Luque scored as the Spaniards ran rings around AC Milan, with Fran winning it in the second half with a deflected effort of the legendary right back Cafu. And Rui Costa almost dug Milan out of their hole with a powerful strike from range late on, but Jose Molina pulled off one of the best Champions League saves of all time. And yeah, the Deportivo Alaves went through. They defeated the reigning European champions, and they won the game. So I think that is a very underrated comeback. I was definitely not around to see it, but I think it's a big game. To put up a performance like that against the reigning European champions is stunning from any side, let alone Deportivo Alaves. And I think that they are a great team. So that was probably one of, they're not that big in terms of Champions League history, but definitely a good team. And yeah, moving on, let's all get into our second best Champions League comebacks of all time. Sid, why don't you get us started?
So I, by mistake, said my first one, which was the Milan Liverpool one. So I'm going to start. I'm going to say I'm going to say my third one now, and I'm going to say I have to say Liverpool versus Barcelona because they won that year. It was a semi-final, and playing against guys like Messi, Suarez, still not in form Coutinho, but still Coutinho. It was just they're some of the best players of the past decade, and Liverpool had so many injuries that day. I think Salah was not there, Firmino was not there. So it's just what a comeback. And again, this is a very obvious one because it was super recent and everyone knows about it. But you just have to put it there because a 3-goal deficit, and even though Liverpool played really well, they were sort of humiliated by that free kick in the end. Barcelona just at the end of the game, they were dominating at 3-0. But then obviously, like many people, Liverpool, the entire club seemed demotivated because the league was in City's hands, and then it was 3-0 down. But then the character to come back from that match, even when so many of your star players are missing, was just really good. And that's why it's my third. So I obviously already said my first. So what you guys can say your second first, and then I'll say my second. So, Arez, you go on with your second. You say yours.
Okay, so my second is I've not watched this match, but it's Liverpool AC Milan. So this is like Sid mentioned it, 3-all, and yeah, and it's very well known. And I don't think it's the best comeback in Champions League history. That's why it's my number two. But I still feel it's one of the best. And even how much ever I don't like Liverpool or hate Liverpool, I still have to like bring up Liverpool Milan. So yeah.
So I've actually gone for the Liverpool. Sorry, I've gone for Barca PSG in second place. I considered putting the Liverpool Barca game ahead of this game, but solely for the reason because Barca went out in the quarter straight after that. They lost to Juve on over both legs, and I think on a bigger scale it was meaningless. But I think leaving this comeback out would just be wrong. So I think the Barca 6-1 PSG in the second half. I think that second leg, they won 4-0 in the first leg at the Parc des Princes. And I think Barca were really bad on that night. I didn't watch the game, but from what I've seen, they did not play well. They got completely dominated by PSG. Di Maria scored twice. But in the second leg, they were on fire. They scored quite a few goals, 6 goals in fact. Sergi Roberto grabbed it in the last minute. Neymar scored a brilliant free kick. Messi wasn't that present in the game, but nevertheless, Barca still won 6-1, turning over a 4-goal deficit against the champions of France. And I think solely for the mountain they had to climb to get to the quarters, I'm going to put this in my second position. A close candidate for this game would have been the Liverpool Barca game, but that just misses out and would be my fourth. But yeah.
So I already said my first, which was AC Milan Liverpool. So I'm not gonna participate in this round. But why don't you guys say your number one Champions League comebacks of all time? Arez, kick us off.
Okay, so I know this is not going to be a popular one between the other two, but I'm going. It's not exactly considered 2-1. Is it really a comeback? I still think it is. United Bayern 1999. No, it's not only because he won the treble, but 2 goals in stoppage time. Solskjaer and Sheringham it's just iconic, and it is my not only favorite, but it's what I think is the greatest UCL comeback of all time. And I've not mentioned Ajax, Tottenham, or Liverpool, Barca because Liverpool Barca was the semi-final, but I know Liverpool did go on to win that Champions League, but it's still a semi-final, and I don't think it can be compared to a final. So I didn't mention Liverpool Milan as my second, and I put that over Barca PSG because it was a final, and a final there's like double the amount of pressure. Even like there's a lot of pressure in the semi-final, but there's so much more in a final. So I think, although obviously I've not seen United Bayern, but from what I have seen in highlights and stuff, it's one of the greatest. So yeah, that's my number one.
I definitely have to disagree with you there. I'm going to go with the 2005 Champions League final, Liverpool 3, AC Milan 3. Liverpool won 3-2 on penalties. Let's be on all honesty, I didn't watch that game. I didn't watch that game or any of the games I've mentioned actually, but from what I can tell, that was the greatest Champions League night in history really, and definitely Liverpool's greatest ever European night. 3 goals down at halftime. A lot of Liverpool fans had begun to leave the stadium until, they came out in the second half. They were singing "You'll Never Walk Alone," and Liverpool completely turned the game on its head. Steven Gerrard scored a header to make the score 3-1. Vladimir Smitser drilled in a shot into the bottom left corner, super sub. And in Steven Gerrard pulled down by Gattuso, won a penalty. Javi Alonso missed a penalty but scored on the rebound. And then Jamie Carragher, Jerzy Dudek with some of the best defensive contributions we've ever seen, let alone a Champions League final. And then Liverpool won 3-2 on penalties with Dudek saving Shevchenko's penalty to win the game. I think it was a great moment for all Liverpool fans, and the trophy came back to the great city, which once were always on top of the world. That was the start of not exactly any dominance, but it was a really big moment in the club's history, and just the way they won against a Milan side with Kaká, Gattuso, Inzaghi, Shevchenko, just Dida. They've got some really, really good players, and I think people like Jean-Anna Rieser were playing in that game, and Jerzy Dudek, who is actually a really good keeper, but he's nowhere near how good Dida was. For a group of players like that to pull off a stunning comeback against arguably the best, the most star-studded team in football history, I think it was just incredible. Second half turnaround, and that's why I'm going to go with that for my best ever European comeback. Sid, I think you'll have to mention your third one right before we wrap up today's episode.
Wait, didn't I already say it? I said, yeah. So I said AC Milan versus Liverpool was my number one, agreeing with the man T. Then I did. And then I said Barcelona versus Liverpool was my third. And I said PSG versus Barca was my second. And Liverpool versus Barcelona was my third. So I think that wraps it up. Obviously, we disagree with the United Bayern one, but no matter, it's opinions.
Still a really good game. Two stoppage time goals. You can't take that away from anyone. I think the guy who scored the second goal is a bit of a stinky manager. But that's all we have for today's episode. I hope you guys enjoyed. We will see you next time on SNT Talk Football for our Premier League Match Day 11 preview. So, peace out.